Hey, I want to make another HPZ Talks video, which is what I'm officially calling all the videos that are titled HPZ Talks and then something else. I guess I'm creating a segment. This is a segment now. Um, so on HPZ Talks, I'm going to be talking about stuff that people want me to talk about or that I want to talk about. I've been asked in the past to talk about punk and like what it means to me. So I guess that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. I wrote down a little list on a birthday card about punk and what it means to me, like what punk is to me. So I'm just going to read off the list and then I'm going to elaborate because that makes sense to me. So I wrote punk, DIY, supporting your friends, creating community spaces, giving the mic to the quiet/unheard voices, reaction to the shitty things that are glamorized and celebrated in society, rejecting social norms/expectations for your gender or your race, etc. And that's all I have written down right now. So, I mean, to me, that's really what it's about. So there's I don't know, like, punk is music, and I guess punk is also fashion, but it's definitely, in my opinion, a mentality. And before I got into punk, sounds like my laptop is like overheating, so I'm going to move it under my sketchbook. For many years, I kept on going through like what I would be considered, or what I would consider to be, like phases or whatever. And I would try to listen to new music and try to do some other things, and none of it felt quite right for me. And then I started dating my partner, Scotty. This was when I was 14. And he introduced me to punk, and I was like, wow, it's almost like all of my politics and ethics match this genre of music and this mentality. And I was instantly drawn to it because it was the first time that my mentality had matched the lyrics of music. Because I had listened to I'm sure it's obvious that I was a scene kid at some point. Hope it's obvious. But I was I would listen to scene kid music and shit, and that was horrible, obviously. And then I tried to get into nerdy rock music like Weezer and Cake and Beck, which I still love all those bands, but it just wasn't for me, the culture surrounding it. Then I got into grunge music, which is kind of close to punk, but I still wasn't quite there. Because when you get into grunge music when you're 13 and 14, for some reason, all of the music made during the Riot Grrrl movement doesn't show up when that is grunge. That was grunge and punk, and I don't know why I never found that kind of music. When I was into grunge, I'm guessing it's because sexism, probably, if I had to guess. But after I got into grunge and stuff, I listened to bands like Vampire Weekend and bands I don't know, indie bands, I guess. And I really I enjoyed that kind of music, but it just didn't feel enough for me. You know what I mean? I was I want to feel empowered when I listen to music, and that had never happened to me before. And then I remember specifically I was leaving a a pride festival with my friends, and my friend Austin had a Dead Kennedys CD in the car, and that was the first time I'd ever heard punk. And I heard the song Kill the Poor, and I was like, what is this? This is amazing. What is this music? And Scotty was like, this is punk. This is what punk music is. And I was just it was a whole new world opened up to me. And I was like, oh my God, this is music made for me. This is music that I have needed for my whole life, but I've never heard. Hearing Dead Kennedys and then getting into other bands, like my partner didn't, well, Scotty at the time didn't like Black Flag. And I had, of course, this is something that's kind of embarrassing about me, but I have to admit it because it's literally me. When I discover a new thing, I will research it for hours, hours a day. Like the first X-Men movie I ever saw was Days of Future Past. And I just saw it because my friends wanted to see it and I didn't know anything about X-Men. And then after seeing that, I was like immediately drawn in and obsessed with X-Men. So I researched it literally the same night I saw it for 4 hours. But I was like, this is so good. Like, I relate to this. I love it. And that's how I felt about punk for the first time. I was like, shit, I've got to go on fucking Wikipedia, look at this giant list of punk stuff and like figure it out and like learn the ins and outs. And so Black Flag was on the list. And I had heard of Black Flag because like I exist. And so I was like, I'm going to listen to this band and see how I feel. And so the first album I listened to is Damaged, which is still one of my all-time favorite albums. And I was like, this is so good. Why doesn't Scotty like this? This is amazing. This is so raw and like so emotional and so angry. And I was immediately obsessed. And I was like, this has to be my new thing. Like, I have to do this. I have to get into punk because if this is what punk is about, I am also punk. Like, this is so cool. And of course, like, being a feminine person, I wasn't taken seriously, and I'm still not taken seriously. Well, I'm taken more seriously by my friends now, but I wasn't taken seriously as a punk or as a person who participates in punk for many years. And even though I was the person booking all the shows, writing all the zines, being in like 5 bands at once, doing it all, creating a space, creating a scene, that wasn't enough because I was like, I'm like a feminine person. And so now punk for me is very different than what it was when I was younger. Even though I'm not like the pillar of like booking shows and doing shit, like I still focus mainly on booking people who are queer, feminist people of color. That way that they can have like an actual space for their voices to be heard, because I never had that when I was younger. And like, so I also try to get younger people, and I'm never excluding people based on their age or whatever, because that's just stupid. And like, I've always been one of the youngest people in the scene, and like, I know how it feels to be like belittled for something as silly as age, which I do think that's silly. But so now punk for me is more or less about being DIY and like getting shit done that you're proud of, and like helping to bring your friends together and create something and like collaborate and create a community space where people can feel good and like safe there. I don't know, it's just easy to me. Punk is super easy. You're DIY, you get shit done, you make sure people feel comfortable, because it's not like you don't have to have a set of rules to be a safe space. You just have to make sure that people know that when they're uncomfortable, they have a voice. I don't know, totally rejecting like the like gender roles and like ideas and expectations for like, or like stereotypes that are set for you. It's about like rejecting those stereotypes and coming and rising above and beyond what is expected of you, and like also making sure that you can do the same for other people. And so punk for me has always been that, but now more than ever it's about DIY and supporting your friends and like making sure that everyone has an equal chance at, I don't know, like the doing stuff in the punk scene. Because that's where it starts. It starts with like you play your first show in your friend's garage, and that's like how you start doing stuff in punk. And so I guess that's what punk's about for me. And I do care about punk a lot. And it's really cool being a part of something that feels big, you know what I mean? Like a part of something that means a lot, and like it's like a reaction to all the, I don't know, like I said in my list of things, like it's a reaction to shitty things that are going on that we don't like, and like we want to change it, and like we can do that by coming together and doing something big. And so that's what punk is for me. Thank you for this prompt. I can't remember who asked me, and I feel bad for that, but I really do like answering things like this, and I love talking about stuff, even if I don't know a lot about it. I love talking about stuff. I prefer to keep it kind of lighthearted, so just because like I'm a political science major, and when I get into stuff, I get into stuff, and I don't want to really do that on the internet, like, or YouTube or something. But so send me lighthearted prompts that you want to hear me talk about. I'll talk about it. Even X-Men stuff that you know maybe that I care about from shit I talk about in videos, like, just ask me anything. I love talking about stuff. So thank you so much for this prompt, and you can comment in the comments other prompts, or you can Facebook message me or Tumblr message me or whatever. I'll try to answer all the prompts that you guys have, and thank you so much for your support and kindness as usual. Thank you.